Hello, hello. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining me today at Maverick Workshop. Wow, what a big achievement we hit yesterday. Thank you all so much. I know that there was a lot of people on my side really trying to push forward and help me get to that last bit. So I really appreciate y'all taking the time to do that. Now that I am finally a YouTube partner, well, so many things have changed now, right? We're gonna be like doing wazoo stuff now because my budget's unlimited, right? 'Cause that's how it works. I'm just kidding. We're gonna continue doing basically what we've always been doing, man. We just keep teaching, keep hanging, keep chatting. That's what it is. Bacon Man, hello. How are you doing? But yeah, man. Uh, yeah. So basically, uh, it enabled some stickers. Well, we got some other super chat things too. I've got goals, but I'll fill those things out a little later, man. I mean, if you do end up doing any of the super chat or whatever goals, then know that it's just going to go to workshop enhancements of sorts. So yeah, I mean, obviously I'll kind of spell all that stuff out here, but how exciting, man! I really appreciate everybody being here, hanging out, and all that jazz. So without further ado, let's take a look at what's on the chopping block, so to speak. Here. Let's hop over to a different cam view. Perfect. That'll do. That'll do. So here we've got a couple of different blanks that just came out not too long ago, and these are what Earth Prism. Earth Prism. Yeah. So I've already got them measured and marked. So basically, gonna go over to the bandsaw and cut them right quick. Yeah. So give me just a moment. I'll be right. There. I'll be right back. But yeah, so we'll be working on these babies as well as um, let's see what else. What else? Oh, I got some pastel prisms to do as well. Yeah. Let's see. Let's get this board set, huh? And I think I mentioned it before, but oddly enough, the hours because I got watch time earlier on, and then those hours are like kind of eating, kind of like Snake. If you've ever played Snake, then you'll know that as the then you'll know that every step forward like takes it from the other side. So that's kind of where I'm at with that particular part. But that's all right. We still hit that 4K, man, or 1,000. So 1,000 subs. Woo! Boom. All right, so there we are. You'll have to excuse my enthusiasm as I don't know how to express it very well. Yeah, I'm not a super very expressive person. So there's that. Anyway, gonna go get these chopped right quick. After I get it plugged in. Yep. You gotta do that. In just a moment, I will be back over there in just a sec. kind of seems a little fitting too that you know, it's like this. Going to be doing like earth blanks. It's going to keep me grounded, you know. Got to help keep me grounded. Oh man. Oh man. We're just here doing this stuff, man. That's it. That's it. We're just here doing our stuff, having a time, and chatting, and you know, working through problems, all that stuff. Alrighty. Alrighty. Oh, I've got another cool thing too. If I make it through these, well, either way, I'll show you what it is, but pretty dang cool. If I do say so myself. I had the kids working on a project as well. All right, so this is what these are looking like so far when you take a look at the cross section of the blank. But yeah, we've got the stuff that we need. Let's see, that side, good. Gonna go for, well, we're just gonna start with sections. We're only doing 2 sections here. So we should be able to make it through both of these pins, no problem. Whoop. Alrighty, so a little excessive on my section size for that one at least. Whoa! What? Crazy. Crazy, man. Ben, thank you, man. That's wild. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. So I'm keeping an eye out when you've got your stuff going for your cross streaming idea. Keeping an eye out for that. It's gonna be fun. Wow. I'm just baffled, man. They'll be too happy to only see 50% of that. Oh, I thought it was 70, but oh, and then taxes, I suppose. Oh man, still so cool. Thanks so much, man. Alrighty, I need to get my tray for section making. You've been waiting on this? Oh man, that's because you're a good friend, dude. That's why. That's why. But now, you know, it feels all kinds of like official, you know, because I got the button now. Let's see. Yes, Lawrence, my man. Could have done it without you. You've been Kevin, Sean. Probably make up the majority of the watch hours. Oh man, y'all are awesome. I still have so much more to learn, dude. It's like, okay, I recognize you doing good stuff. We're doing stuff consistently, we'll say. At least consistently enough. Alright. I don't know. It's crazy. Although I will say something kind of funny. Something kind of funny is, as far as the subs go, I did reach the 112, and then it went back to 108. But fortunately, it doesn't actually matter, I guess, at that point, because you already hit the threshold. But I guess to be fair, it didn't go under 1,000, but man, still, oh my gosh. It's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Let's see. Oh, shoot. Lawrence, happy birthday, right? It's today, isn't it? Lawrence, it's your birthday today, isn't it? But it's soon. It should be soon or something. But I thought it was today. Heck yeah, man. If y'all could tell Lawrence happy birthday, that'd be dope. Longtime viewer of this channel. Sweet. Whoop. Almost home. Right on. Mike, what's up, man? I appreciate it. Thank y'all for sacrificing some of your Saturday to be here and hang out. You all helped me get there, so I think it was a group effort, right? That's what I would say. It's a group effort, man. I wouldn't have been able to do it without y'all, and then yeah. So thank y'all. People with birthdays in July are the best. Vin, is that when yours is too? I never asked you what your birthday was, but I probably should know. Or maybe it'll be something that you want me to know. I don't know. Let's see. Hello. Hello, hello. Juan? Juan. That sounds about right, right? The 30th. Oh, man. Cool, cool. Let's see. VW would Boom. There. Now I got it. Okay. July 30th. July 20th? Oh, man. What's up? TY? We have a lot of things in June and then the first 3 months of the year. July 20th for you, huh? Nice. Very, very cool. Your son's is the 21st? Right on. Did you plan it that way? You're like, honey, we're gonna have kids, and they're gonna be done this day, all right? Or in this month. So we need to reverse plan from here. All right, so the planning was minimal. Got it. Planning was minimal. The intricate lathe. Hubert. Hello, Hubert. What am I making? I am making a fountain pen section. I am working on a different set of blanks that recently got taken out of the pressure pot, well, last night, I suppose. And then what I like to do is I like to make a pen from it and show people like working on it and everything. That way, you could take a look at it and then see the blank that I was working on, and then maybe if you are interested in purchasing one of the blanks that are of the same batch, then you would be able to. But this is so it can show the like what everything looks like. But yes, Hubert, are you a pen maker? This is where your mind gets blown? Well, I mean, if there's something that you don't know how it happened, just ask and I'll do my best to explain it. That light keeps popping off or turning off. All right. That light keeps turning off. I gotta go turn it on. Oh, great. I got noisy cricket when I was hoping for. Never mind. There we go. All right. We have motion activated lights, and over the years, over the years, it just has become, well, different. It's become a little different. Okay. So, what am I making? It's where the mind gets blown. Thanks for the explanation. Hey, no problem, Hubert. B-dub, those Temu kits arrived, identical to the standard kits. Right on. Right on. They're probably made from the same or similar factory. Let's see. A third the price. Yeah, not surprised. YouTube proposed me this live video. I used to use a lot of big lathes in high school. That's awesome, man. Do you still play around or have one or have the urge to? Maybe it's a sign, man. Woo! Or maybe not. Those were the darkest days of high school. I hated every bit of it. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know how you thought of it. But I love turning. I didn't actually find out about turning until about 6 years ago. And I never had a lathe or actually even knew what a lathe was until about 6 years ago. And then that's when I started watching some, satisfying type of videos. And that's where I saw like Jack Mack, Andy Phillip, RJB, Woodwork, Worth the Effort, Sean. I saw all those people, and then those were kind of like my mentors from afar. And then that's what I, kind of latched onto. And I kind of have an addictive personality when it comes to certain things. And yeah, this happened to be one of those things that caught my attention, and I wanted to pursue it as far as I could. And 5 years later, I'm still able to continue doing what it is that I'm doing, and be able to try out a lot of other things, and then network with some very talented, smart people in a large variety of areas of expertise. So, man, I don't know what could be much better. I'll be honest. There's a huge amount of knowledge. So, man, this is not sliding very well. Albeit it's not intended to slide necessarily, but in my use case here, I want it to. So we're going to address that right quick. YouTube proposed this live. Right on, right on. Okay. Can't wait to get back in the shop. Heck yeah, man. When's that going to happen? That's what he said. Oh, I can't wait. Yep. Let's do yep. If they compare the same, you actually get them on the lathe you're buying from there, at least for the slim line and potentially the bolt ones from now on. Interesting. Whack and Shack is aiming to do one tomorrow on... Oh, one of the Temu ones? Interesting. Very cool story. Yeah, I realize that we are, as parents, we should help our kids find healthy addictions. Yes, indeed. That was almost a shout out. Oh, man. Who you talking to, Ben? Who is almost shouting you out? We'll finalize that shout out, man. Appreciate you. You're aiming for a day next week, if not 32 days and counting. Is that when school starts back? Oh, yes, Ben, you're obviously a wealth of knowledge, sir. And I guess not so obvious, because not everybody knows that. Very well. Ben is a Viking that works on a lathe, if you don't know already. And he does some spindle work. And he also turns some hollow forms. Also got some wazoo stuff that he gets to experience being in the position that he's at. Getting the first look at some wazoo tools and things along those lines. So, yeah. Is that a little better? There's my shout out for you, Ben. Also, Top D, the only D, So those two as well. You gotta take what you can. Well, yes, yes. That sounds like the Viking way. Oh, I saw a chance. No, not Timu. Amazon Slim Fit. It gets mandrel bent, barrel trimmer, and bit for slimline. Let's see. I think I did show you the modified slimline, didn't I? Yeah. We stumbled through that. Heck yeah. But yeah. You know, Amazon Slimline kits, especially if you're towards the beginning, don't worry about buying off of Temu or Amazon, whatever. I mean, as long as you're fine buying off of Temu, I think that there are a lot of other considerations of buying off of Temu, but you know, if you were already doing so, then it doesn't really matter that much. Let's see. But yeah, as far as practice stuff goes, you absolutely should do as many things as you can, but not be so intent on selling everything, unless it's, you know, unless it represents you. That's probably the best way I can say it, is that you shouldn't really be selling anything until it actually is what you want your face to be on, kind of thing. So I'm pretty reluctant about those types of things. Nah, not Team Amazon Slimline kits. He got sent pin mandrel and barrel trimmer bushings from a company. Oh, okay. So who is doing that video tomorrow or whatever that you were talking about? I think you might have lost me there. All right. Sections. I probably have wiped the number off at this point. Dang it. Let's see if we can match it somehow. Oh man, no doubt. So if we had to match these up, I think the top one goes to this one and the bottom one goes to that one, with how green and then blue they are respectively. Two, here we go. And then one. Okay. Let's finish this barrel here. Ooh, I'm gonna need to measure this a couple times probably. That doesn't look right. Oop. Okay, that part is good. This in the middle. Okay, let's just level it out with a little bit of sandpaper here. That should fix that. I might need to trim it back a little bit more, but we'll see. Okay. All right. We will just take that and taper it a bit later on, I reckon, after we thread it. That sounds like the best course of action. But yeah, also if you make pins, do you do the internal or external threads first? I've gotten to a point where I like the internal threads first because it uses the rest of the girth of the blank in order to keep it in place, whereas and then I can reinforce the inside. That is going to need to be trimmed back a little bit. The section won't match up correctly. Boom. Hit it with a little sandpaper, knock off the corners. Boom. One barrel done. Well, drilled and threaded. Right, let's do it again. But that's interesting. I don't know. Huh. Start with drilling it out so I can do a M10 by 1 tap. One thing before that. And this particularly, if you did not do a relief on the back of the section, on the base of the threads, where, right here, as far as the base of the threads on this part, what I'm doing is creating a recess so I don't actually have to have that visible on the section, and it'll still function how it's supposed to. Like it won't get stuck on there, it won't have any of those like a friction fit, or it's less likely to have like a friction fit, like to where it gets stuck. So that is one of the contributors to that. Let's see. Yep. Now we're good. Let's hit it with the M10x1. Okay. Now we need to get the tenon down to around 1280, 1285, 75, somewhere around there. And it's just close to that. You can thread it basically at any point between like 7 or 12, 65 is low, but 1270, maybe high 60s, and then all the way up to, you know, 13. But you're gonna make it so that cap won't go on very well if you did it that size, or you'd have to drill a bigger hole into the cap to facilitate that. So that's kind of where it gets even more interesting, and you've got to kind of figure out the different methods of it, because the material behaves differently. You know, even the processes that you do has influence on the on how the material behaves. So it's interesting when you think about it like that, because an example would be if I'm turning wood, it's a lot different than turning resin for a variety of reasons, but one of which, wood kind of shrinks back down, it seems. Like if you drill something, it kind of shrinks back down, it seems, after you're done drilling it. But resin can do, well, actually go either way. It depends on the temperatures that you get your tools to and all that stuff. One of the reasons why I don't do too many things back to back is because I want the drill bits to have some time to cool down in between. Same with the material. It's not exclusively the drill bits that I want to have a little bit of chill time. It's also the material, because the material will heat up and it'll hold on to it for a while, and then it'll make it softer, and then what it'll do is cause the threads to not take very well, or it could even bore them out. So being careful with that type of stuff too, especially when it's hot, is not really something that I've mentioned very much of. But yeah, believe it or not, the blanks can also feel different when you're working with different kind of blanks, different materials. Like even if you're working with aluminite blanks, if you put like glitter or a ton of mica in there, or a ton of different types of, you know, pigments, they're going to behave a little differently in the resin. And some things you'll find have turned like butter, or some things have been a little bit chippier than before. And that could be a couple reasons, one of which sometimes people like to add maybe more hardener to their resin, or maybe some of the I mean, it really is a ton of different things that it could be. But the thing is that you create that, you have those experiences, and then essentially you've got those memories, and you learn, and then you just alter how you're working with said material. Because I was rapid firing some things for production work style, right? But that wasn't working because the drill bit started so hot, and then when I went to tap it, it like didn't grab it because it was so thin. Another thing, if you think that turning them down to almost the diameter that you want them to be at the end, and then drilling, that's also not a very good idea. because again, it makes it so it kind of flares out. So not a advisable avenue, but obviously it can work. Like I could take that and make a pin out of it. But since I've already trimmed them down the way that I have, I'm just gonna use those as mandrel pieces if I need them. So they're pretty nice already. I think the cap is probably the easiest one to do. And this drill bit right here actually dictates the diameter of the section, if you didn't know that. So what that means is that this is going to go as far into the cap as the section's going to, including the tenon, right? Because the cap needs to be able to go over the tenon, so you need to add the tenon length to the section length, and then that's how large this is. And then you add another little bit to make up for the last about 25 millimeter for the section or the nib. So when you're making it, that's what you're thinking about, or what I have preset here. Yeah. And then the other thing that you need to make sure of is that there we go, that this actually allows the nib to rotate inside the housing without touching. There's a lot of little nuances to this. But that's a part of why I love it. I love that there's so many nuances. And it's possible that I'm not even addressing them the best way they could or should be addressed. So that's also an interesting thing that maybe what I am doing could also be improved upon. So all we're doing is drilling some holes, but you know, if that's all you see, then I would say that pin making is probably not a good thing for you. But on the other hand, maybe it's something that would be even cooler. And then the same principle here as far as the barrel tenon. If you do a little trim on the base of the barrel tenon down here, then you won't necessarily have to worry about that. Okay, that cap is done. All right, so there are the components of the pin all drilled. Now all we got to do is take these over to the wood lathe and get them shaped. And then sanded and polished and all that jazz. I wonder if Abby will actually take the time to sand these today. If you don't know, Abby is my wife, and she is the blank maker of these blanks that I use for the most part. And yeah, she's been doing that for a long time. Maybe one of these days I'll convince her to get her own YouTube going. But until then, she'll make random appearances on here. Alrighty. And see, I did the large diameter. So essentially right now that's cooling, by the way, is kind of how that plays out, at least in my head. So the outer walls where that is cooling. And I'm not going to touch those walls again until I need to thread. So it's got a little bit of time to cool. See, if you were going to try to do this with like acrylic, it would chip. It would chip probably. So acrylic threading is actually quite a bit harder. And also less forgiving too, because everything's got to be like nice and cool the whole time pretty much. Boom. Alright, so the caps are now done. Last thing I gotta do, I gotta go get the cam. Well, I gotta move the cam so we can be over on the wood lathe. Alright. Welcome back, Lawrence. Yes, Lawrence, I did. You'll see a tracking number here in the next, probably Monday. If that's all right with you. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Okay. right, now that this is all like... Okay, all right. A little noisy for a moment. Here's a good pass. We're going to leave it at this measurement as well. One. Real good. And real good. Hope everybody's having a wonderful, safe weekend so far. Hadn't gotten in too much trouble and all that. Two more passes here. You found brass pencil compass at a local hardware store. Hey, cool. Sounds like a fun find. There we go. Almost there, almost there. Boom. See, that is one. This is two. All right. So the next thing we got to do, we'll turn that off. Whew. Cruising. We're cruising. All right. So we got the barrels, we got the caps trimmed down just a little bit. They're not the final dimension, but I just wanted to get them closer to that point. But yeah, here is a little tight, so we're gonna have to fix that up a bit. But that's all right. Rather it be a little tight than not tight enough. Getting it to expand is not as hard as it is to get it to contract. When it comes to working with resin stuff here. Cool, cool, cool. All right, let me go put these over here. All right, one, two, and two. All right. Give me just one moment. I'm going to switch this over to like this. Tilt you down a bit. Whoop. There you go. All right, now got to get this repositioned over here. And I tried to make it as simple as possible. Just a little rotation. And then here. All right, let's see how that looks. Okay, I can adjust this a little bit here. And then I need to rotate you. Alrighty, do a little of that, a little of this. Okay, and then this is to up a bit. Oh, come back down a little bit. Boom. That's pretty good. Okay. Right, here we go. Over at the wood lathe, Jet 1221 variable speed with reverse capability. Replaced the bearings a couple times on this baby, so it ain't perfect, but you know what? It is definitely served its purpose for me above and beyond. Eventually it'll be time to, change gears, We got a collet chuck. Get that locked in. Okay. And then for this over here, transform counterclockwise. Alright, we're going to drop this down just there. We go. That's better. Okay. Alright, Morty. Alright, first things first. Let's check this out, see how we're sitting. Sitting about right where I want to. Okay. This is a section mandrel here. It's made from a different blank. Basically turned it like I would a barrel of a pen. And then, yeah. Alright, man. Bless me with your cooling powers. Um. Okay. Dum-ba-da-dum. Okay, we're looking good. Let me tilt this a little bit down. How we looking? We looking good. We looking crispy. Is that a thing still? Crispy still a thing? Mm-mm-mm. Okay, let's see. Like I mentioned before, if you saw me drill in the cap, what you have to do is you got to measure out the diameter that you want the section to be, but it has to be less than the outer diameter or the inner diameter of the cap that you drilled. So we're going to go here, and then I'm going to show you what I was talking about. Okay, so here we have a cap. And so the size that I'm making the section will go into the cap. So it'll have to be slightly smaller, which is fine. But this is my target that I'm going for based off of that. So rote learning is all cool and dandy, but knowing why and what it goes to and all that jazz, I think, is also extremely important. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to be able to start at various places of your whole pin making processes. But my general template that I've got here as well is that I'm going to turn this to the size of close to the mandrel here. So this smaller part right there is approximately my my template there. And then I take it down to that size, and I also test fit. And then it's going to get sanded, so it's going to lose a little bit more diameter as well. So that's also something to keep in mind when you're doing that. Looks like we are right about where we need to be here. Let's check it out. Oh, yes. And yes, so we are right on the money. I'm not too concerned about the middle, although if you have done much turning in general, you'll know that the middle always turns fatter. For whatever reason, everybody ends up with a fat pin unless they can they have other ways to make it not that way. In this case, I'm not really worried about it because that's where the grip portion is going to be carved out, and I know that that part's going to be the smallest part. So I just need to make sure really that the ends are that diameter that we're going for, and then the other stuff will solve itself. Man, that is a beautiful, colorful section. I love it. Let's check it out. So this is what I was talking about. So I take the section, then I put it into the barrel, and then I check the base, making sure that the threads of the where it's going to connect to the cap stick out further than the base of the section. So that's the other reason why. And then you also want to make sure that there's no overhang anywhere, because that would tell you that there's part of your process that is a little off, right? If your section doesn't sit to where it has like a steady 1/4 mil lip all the way around or something like that, if it's not perfectly circumferential, it won't line up properly. And then I just need to work the threads a little bit. But yeah, there we go. Get the other one done to that point, and then I get to measure out some of the pieces and determine the final size of the pin that I'm working on here. Alright, so that was number 1. Okay. I like to keep all the blanks together. They're all the same blank. So the color scheme will be similar, but it won't be the same. So that's why, a part of why I like to keep all of them together, all the different pieces. Unless I'm deliberately doing something a little bit different, which is also possible. We've done different sections for one of our pins that we've got set up. Man, it's crazy to think that DC is right around the corner, man. I think we're inside 2 weeks. We've been gathering stuff and determining like what improvements that we wanted to make and things along those lines. A little bit more off of the back end here. A little bit off the front. Then we go into shape. crisp colors there. Fit. It's crazy how complicated this piece actually is. There's a lot to it. But nice, screws in super nicely. Nice and circumferentially done. Sweet. Okay, now from here, what I need to do is measure the depth of the cap. This is how I do it, at least. I measure the depth of the cap, and then I mark it, and then I give myself an extra, a little less than a 1/4 inch, between a 1/4 and an 1/8 of an inch or so, is about the size that I give myself. So just doing a plunge depth with my caliper here, and I just need to mark that point. Alright, so there's the actual depth of where my drill goes to on the inside. And then this is my extra mark that I leave. And this is basically where I define the line where I'm going to separate this little bit from the rest of the pin. So if you wanted to do different shapes or you want to incorporate different finials, you need to adjust here before turning this into its final size and length and diameter and all that shit. Stuff. All that stuff, I mean. So, let's go with the cap first. Go! Oh, yes. Anybody else working on anything? On Saturday. Oh, but see, when people ask me, like, what are your hobbies? My job, my work. Well, what kind of work do you do? My hobby. Nah, I wouldn't be that annoying, but it really kind of is. It's that, you know. So, I'd say I am quite in a unique position. I do say so myself. Oh, sorry. Before I get too far ahead of myself, the other thing I am supposed to do at this point is go ahead and measure this on its respective barrel that it's going to go to. So this line is going to be the actual mark that I'm going to use for my overall length of the pin here that we're going to do. Yep. There you are. So there is, you know, kind of the gauge where I'm going to measure the pin from to determine the overall length. And my pins, I like them to be about 5.5 inches. And that leaves, you know, room for the converter, room for the everything. Like, I drilled obviously deep enough already, but you just want to make sure that you are able to accomplish what it is that you want and not run into any other problems. Like here, if I was doing a different type of end, then I'd probably give myself a little bit more room, whether on the cap or the barrel. It doesn't really matter which one, but just making sure you have a little bit of extra room will make it so you have a little bit of room for error should you run into an error, you know. this ends up being about 2 and just under 2.5 is the final length of the cap, just under 2.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to turn one into a Marauder and one into a Guardian, so I can have one of each. Yeah, so again, with what I did with the marker, I'm going to go ahead and use my diamond tool to continue that mark. So let's see, which one? Let's do this one as the we'll do this one as the Guardian. Yeah, we'll do the Guardian this one. So again, because I drilled with a smaller drill bit from about right here up, that gives me a little bit of freedom to go narrower than like from here back. So that's why I typically like to do a nice taper at this point. But yeah, this is basically my line that I'm defining. So the pin should not exceed that length. So I need to get my shapes done inside of that. And then also be aware that I can't go too far here. Yeah. So that is what I'm working on right now. So getting there. And then I know that the diameter of this is about 15 millimeters. And so I want it to be a little bit bigger than that. Alright, now from here, I'll take it to the next step, or level, I guess, is I'll bring it back a little bit further. Just know as you're whittling this part down smaller and smaller, it's going to have a little less support. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're working through it. But I'll use a round carbide, just kind of reach in there, kind of scrape it out, like kind of a scooping motion. So I'll come in, I'll get like a, let me back this off a little. I'll get in there and then I'll use kind of a scooping motion and then just ride it out. That's how I'll get started with the rounded part here, at least. You can see that it's still relatively flat, so we need to continue working on that taper part. We need to tastefully round it to where it's not too pointy, but it's also not so flat that it doesn't look like beautiful. Like we want elegance, right? We want nice pretty shapes. We want the profile to go with it. We want all of these things to happen and make her a beauty, All right, perfect. We're looking at 15.8 mil right there, which is good. So what we're going to do is take it just a little bit further down here. Boom. Perfect. And then, so this is a little bit of a different type of parting right here, where I'm just kind of moving the material away. I'm just kind of pushing everything on the other side away until it comes off. So now I have just that little bit, and we want that little bit so I can round it. That way you have a little bit of a cushion. Now typically I wouldn't advise doing this with a turning tool, but you can if you have a light enough touch and you have enough control. Otherwise, just sand it. There's no need to really do it like this, but you can if you're gentle enough. Because what also can happen is if you like go in there and you start going hard, you're going to cause a lot of vibrations because it's not supported all the way at the end. It's only supported to about right here. So you'll run into a problem if you do try to do that, where it'll cause a lot of vibrations, and it'll make it so when you sand out the vibration, it's going to be offset potentially because it's not supported between centers anymore. So yeah, just kind of keep those types of things in mind when you're doing stuff. It's like you always need to be supporting it somehow, or if you're not supporting it, at what point am I going to run into problems if I'm going to do sanding or turning or whatever? You got to figure those areas out for the setup that you're using. Like for me, I know that I can do the caps like that at the end, but when I'm shaping, I don't do it that way. Right? It's always supported, but then at the end, you can refine a little bit, and then worst case, you just use sandpaper to do that last little bit of refining, and you'll be sanding at a much lower speed, so you're not really super worried about it being knocked out around and all that stuff. So just kind of keep those things in mind, that speed also plays a role at which you're sanding, not just for like digging with the sandpaper onto the surface, but also like you're putting pressure and you're offsetting it. So if you're putting pressure on something like this and it's rotating at my hand, it's going to cause this piece to go like this, and we don't want that. This one is going to be a marauder, so all I need to do basically is cut this pretty much straight all the way across and then clear out a little bit of space. I like doing this part where I clear out the space. I also have it so it doesn't, I don't have sharp edges on there either. You don't want sharp edges to hit your fingers and cause some harm. Because sharp edges on spinning things like this, they do like to bite. Again, my guide here, approximate height. You'll notice that I stopped on the Y on the very end. That is because I didn't want to push the cutting edge off the end, because I didn't want it to potentially chip that part out. G Dale, hello, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Working on some fountain pens today. This is a new blank earth prism. But yeah, so this is about where we want to be. I need to take this down just a little bit more, and then round this little step part right here, and then smooth this out a bit as well. Boom. So if we have relatively flat surfaces, then a cool little trick that you can use is a file, a metal file. So you're going to turn the lathe real low to, I have it about 5, I think it's about 700. It's about 700 that I turn this. And then I'm going to use, because I don't need to do any drastic shaping, I just need to do like leveling out turning right here. So I'm going to use the fine side here, and I'm going to have it angled how I want the taper to be. So my flat side is actually over here, and then I'm kind of rolling it across a little bit, just to try and flatten this out a bit, but not too much. And then let's come back to the other side. Just try to flatten everything else out, and you should have a nice smooth surface at the end if you did it correctly. And if not, well, you'll have fun with some sandpaper a little later, because it's just the way the game goes. And then parting this, you know, it's probably not super important necessarily how you part it, but I always go towards, like I use my tip here, and I'll take it and then I'll like go towards this side. That way I don't have to worry about like breaking this end off, this end off, so I can come here and then just finish everything on the surface and not have to worry about digging too deep. Boom. Leo! Hello, how are you doing? Good to see you. But yes, here we are. And you can see this right here. This was caused by the file. But that'll come out in the whole sanding element. Or we could hit it right now a bit, just to smooth it out to address that part later. There. Makes it easier later on. But sweet. Here we are. With the caps. And then for the barrels, this one is going to be my Marauder, which is going to be the easier of the two. There we go. Swap mandrels. Need the barrel mandrel. If you need mandrels, you can make them, or you can get brass ones like this. I got these from Turner's Warehouse. You can also get them from, you know, small machinists can probably make them for you, or if you know somebody that can do that. These are a lot easier than the cap mandrels as far as like making or recreating, because they're single start. The other ones are triple start. So I don't think that there's a drastic price difference in the mandrel itself, though. So that's pretty cool. And then what we're going to do is for this, I'm going to go ahead and get it set, boom, locked into place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the corresponding cap that goes along with it. So this is something that took me longer to figure out than it should have, but it's super basic. But here you go. You take the calipers, you measure the outer diameter of the cap, and then in this case I go this way, and then I will subtract 1.5 or so, and then I'll lock it into place, and that'll tell me about where I want the barrel to be. So if you were uncertain about how to determine the shoulder step, you find out what profile that you like the most, based on a variety of pins that you have made, perhaps, and then you measure it, and then you determine the difference, the offset that you want it to be. 1.4 to 1.5 is where I like it to be. So we're going to take it down to about that point. And again, I know that the mandrels are 15 mil. So back here, we know it's 15. And then there's no taper or anything on the inside of this one. So there's no real reason to worry too much about going too deep into a body of a pin, unless you were trying to make it postable, in which case that you'll probably run into, if you wanted to make it postable, you'd have to make the profile, you'd need to measure the cap again, and then you'll put that part about down here, because you want to determine how far deep that you want to post it, but we're not going to do that, because it could be not good for the threads.
Again, this one is going to be a Marauder, so all we need to do is take this. I probably took a little bit too far off the support side. Whoops. But that's all right, still holds it pretty centered. And just, if I get feedback, like this chatter that I got right now, just got to be a little bit more careful as to not dig too deep, cause too many vibrations. Yeah. So we're going to give this a measure and see kind of where we are at this point. So about right there is where that is. And this, not quite, but if we wanted to use this mandrel as our gauge, we know relatively where I can put one side of the carbide. We're not going to go all the way this time. We're just going to go a little bit. So we just need to make sure we got this dialed in right how we want. And then we can see that the middle part right here is the largest, or the thickest part. So just trying to trim that down a bit, and then also incorporate our taper on the back side. And then we're going to go back to the file here in just a moment to clean it up a little bit more. So I got the speed turned way back down, and then I'm going to use a little bit of the rough side of the file on this back end here. We're going to get that profile to start taking its shape. So I would say that the back, like this part here, I want pretty much tapered, and then up here, I want pretty much flat. So find the surfaces that correlate with that, and then you try to match them with the lowest one that's already there. If that makes sense. Then I'll flip it over, do the smoothing side, and that should. It did. It made the surface nice and smooth again, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Now this is also the point where we're going to part, as well as we're going to do a little bit of a touch on the back of the threads here. Except I might go into the body just a little tiny bit here. So nothing huge, just a little bit. All right, and same thing again. We're going to go from here towards the tip until it pops off. And then we'll use this and then come back nice and easy. Try to keep it straight and flat. And you can even go for like a slightly angled profile, just using the tool and then just kind of shaving it. Just kind of rocking it a little bit. Get a little bit going like that. Just a nice little dig like that. But yeah, this one is pretty much done. Let's see. Let me get. Yeah, these are done. So these are pretty cool. Let's see how we did. All right, here we go. That looks nice. All right, with the section, if you wanted to see it with a section, Giant Tech. Hey, how's it going? Having a good day? All right, there we go. And then, you can see this is about how much space that we have in the top. So I probably could even take this down a little bit further if I wanted to, or if the ratio appeared a little off to me, to my own eye. But yeah, it goes in nicely. All right, let's do our other one here. This one is going to be a Guardian Giant Tech. Giant Tech. That's awesome. That is awesome. Welcome, welcome. All right, rounded. That was a note to myself. All right, so the line of definition again. Here we go. Lathe is a little on the lower speed right now. I need to crank it up. But get this set up. And then we're going to redo basically the same thing that we did, except change the profile. Yeah, we're using this as our guide. Alrighty. So for this mandrel, believe it or not, the only part that's really holding it in place is at the very end here. So it's got the threads and everything except the bar on the inside here doesn't support it in a solid way, at least the way that I drill it. So that's why I have to be sure that I have it supported when I'm turning it, because the base of the barrel doesn't touch anything on the inside. Yes, okay, looking good, looking good. Go ahead and hit my little tenon right foot. Boom. All right, now we can't forget, we're doing some of this action here. So I didn't do this one before, but you can take the round carbide, kind of dig it in there, kind of scoop it back. So that is another way. I'm going to do this nice and easy. I'm going to do this in a little bit smaller, or shallower passes, we'll say. Yeah. A little shallower passes on this. Yep. All right, and then here's kind of one that I think about. It's more like a peeling type of thing. But I'm going to round this a bit more before I do that. Okay, so we got this, and I'm just going to kind of push in and then scoop out. So again, I'll take the carbide tip, I'll place it on, rotate downward, and then scoop it the rest of the way out, and that'll be how I part it off. And then from here, I'm just gonna be very gentle with it. Yeah. And we're just gonna sand the rest of that shape. In this case. Yes. smoothing too. So generally the same procedure that I have for the Marauder. But yeah, just want to make sure that it is going slow enough to where it's not like going all over the place. Gonna make this a little more pointy here. That's pretty good. I don't want to do too many because it's going to dig in a little harder than I intended to. So we're going to move to sanding. And this does heat it up, so be careful of that. Okay. About lost it. Alrighty. With that little bit of sanding, you can tell the difference between sanding and turning. Let's see how our step. Hey, our step looks good. Our pin looks good. Let's address a couple things right quick. So what I need to address is the barrel threads here. And the way that I do this is, if you've watched from the beginning, I'll get my little internal support again. I'll get my internal support, and then I have another M13 tap and die. But I mean, this is a die. And then I have it on a die holder, so I'll just basically rechase the threads with this one. And then because this is the way that it is, it's a split one, meaning that there's a gap right here. Up at the top, there's a gap. And so I've tightened this to squeeze it a little tighter. So if it ends up being too tight from over there, then I can make this small adjustment. And it's just a quick thing, and also helps bottom your threads and stuff. But you'll know if if you purchased a set of triple lead taps and dies that it's like $250 to $300 for a set. So I've got a few sets, but just understand that they can also serve different purposes. Alright, so let's see. It shouldn't have made this smoother. Oh, yes. Like butter. Alright, we're going to hit the other one. Do the same thing. Put our internal support in. Right, internal support. Give it a little bit of that rigidity on the inside. And then we're going to chase it again. You kind of want to be careful with this too, because it has been so tight to where I had to really kind of struggle turning it, and I've broken the tenon off on the inside. So just another consideration, that feel your material and know, like people have a sense of feel when they know that something is about to break, you know? And in some cases you can apply that to this, but you know, to have that sense of, in order to actually have that feeling or know that feeling, you would have had to have broken something, right? To most accurately have had that feeling. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so here is this one. Boom. Nice. And then just chase the threads. So nice. Anyway, just made these babies. Let's see, what should we do? Should I continue making more pins, or should I just sand and polish these? I was trying to get Abby out here. Maybe she would sand and polish, but doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But, you know, even still, I've still got I've got a ways to go for today. All right, all these ain't gonna get done today, but I've got a lot. But yeah, that was good. Hi. What? Oh, you coming out to sand?
Yeah.
All right, let's see these earth prisms. All right, you want to hop over? You want to come over? Take a look at the earth prisms. You got a blank of them?
I'll go grab it.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great. That would be great. But yeah, so we're gonna do a little chat sesh right quick about the blanks, and then continue on, man. How's that sound good with everybody? I'll show you this. This was the other thing I was thinking about. But check that out. This is veneer. This is veneer. And it's like, how many layers? I don't know. I'm going to have to end up cutting it anyway, so we'll determine how many layers it is. But yeah, it's pretty neat. So my intent with this was to, well, kind of square it a little bit, and then cut it, and then use them as drill holes, and then stack it. And so I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 6 little inch by inch pieces here that I'll stack together, and then I'll probably put it on a pin. And then the other side, I was thinking of the other 3 inches of this, kind of putting them side by side, and then gluing them together, and then drilling it. That way it would be long way. But yeah, this is something that I had the kids doing yesterday. They just basically got a ruler, and then they used a knife and then cut it right down and cut a whole bunch of strips. So, and then we glued them all together. So that's where we're at with this. This is Abby. She is the blank maker, and she's going to do a little chat sesh for a second. You can sit down right there.
Okay. I'll pop it off a little bit.
Yeah, just sit down carefully, I guess. All right, switch the view. Vertical, yep. And then overview. Cool. I'll get this aimed downward a bit more. Okay. There you go. There's 2 of them. Oh.
Ah! Trying to get this. Give me a high five.
Well, you put your hand out.
Well, for this.
I don't want to miss an opportunity for a fresh high five, you know?
Yeah, I don't want a fresh high five. My wrist hurts so bad today. Hey, everyone. If you've been here before, you know who I am. I'm Abby, John's wife. I make all of our blanks and do most of our sanding and finishing around here. Hey, Lawrence. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a fantastic day.
I told him he'll get a tracking number in the near future, but he
Yeah.
doesn't know for what. We wanted to leave it a surprise.
I'll be packing packages on Monday. So that's probably, I'll get John to send it to you and I'll forward it. Anyway, So we've been doing this. I've been making blanks for over 5 years now. Did we start with the big blanks? I think we actually started with the short blanks, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we started with shorter blanks and then pretty quickly moved on to the bespoke rods for fountain pen making. And I have a series that I started 2 or 3 years ago, I guess at this point. I came out with my pastel prism blanks, which are kind of my version of like rainbow. So it's like translucent rainbow colors, a little bit different. I didn't do, those are not those. These are all different.
That one?
No, I'm talking about pastel prism.
Oh, they're over here.
Anyways, so I came up with those and they were super popular and we kept them to ourselves for a long time. And I have recently, only just in the last like couple weeks, a week, have released pen blanks again for selling. So we have, this is just a little bit. We have so many pen blanks, and with our diamond painting pen side of the business, I make new colorways, and with 40 something odd blanks every single week for that. And so I don't know, I just have decided I want to kind of offer my versions of blanks and what I like to see in a fountain pen to other makers in the community. So yeah, pastel prism, super popular. Instead of red, I have pink, and then so it's pink, yellow, green, blue, and purple, and then white, so swirled. These are blanks that turned out short, and that's a whole other story. Here, will you take these back, please? Anyways, so those, and then I've been coming up with different kind of variations of that. And these ones John just got out yesterday. It is what you guys have been watching him turn. It's the Earth Prism. So I did blues to greens. So it's got a variety of blues. It's got a variety of greens. It's got my favorite sort of kind of patterns and swirling in there. And these ones are sparkly. My pastel prisms are not sparkly, but these ones are, which you can't really see until you sand and polish them. So that's going to be what I'm going to do for just a bit so that we can show off how pretty both the blanks are and the pins from them. So yeah, those are the Earth Prism blanks and what you guys have been watching John turn. He just handed me this box of, I guess this was closer to the beginning of one of the first kind of blanks I started pouring. Abalone blanks were super popular. Like, there were a bunch of different, versions of abalone where you see the white and the black, and then that kind of shimmery blue, and what is it, pink? Blue, yeah. So plenty of versions of those, but I wanted to do something that was a bit different. I wanted to use all of those iridescent ghost pigments. So I've heard them called interference pigments, ghost pigments, but they've got that. They look white until you look at them in the light, and then they have like a kind of color aspect to them when you look at them in light. So I came up with black prismatic pearl, which, if you can tell, especially at the time where I was doing this, the method that I was using for pouring them to get the effect that I wanted at the time is different than the way I do it now, but it caused me to get such a huge variation. And to be honest, our customers loved it. They loved seeing, because some people really liked the really super dark ones where the pigments are more of like a, I don't know, understated kind of thing. Like, you have to look for them. And then some people really prefer the super light ones where you can see the colors a lot more easily. So I haven't repoured those for selling because I do have a new method that is a lot more consistent now for any of my stuff, because you learn so much with doing something over and over again and having that kind of experience behind you. But yeah, I have part in mind for the whole blank side of the business to have some things that I will continue to offer and to like restock. So like, we're out of the pastel prisms right now, and I'm just waiting for my supplies to remake them. Simon, you get to go to timeout. Goodbye. So gross.
You don't write, right?
Hide user. Timeout. Anyways, no weird stuff here. You don't get to come on, be weirdo. Okay. So, anyways, life side of the business, some stuff that I'm going to offer and remake. The Prism series is what I plan on continuing to offer and having kind of different variations. But I also plan on doing some like limited, I just feel like doing this color and I won't remake it kind of thing. Because some of the stuff up there is kind of already like that. I'd also love to get back into kind of some of the like custom work of like working with people on what they want to see in blanks, because I always think you end up with such different stuff there of opposed to like what I want and what I want to make. And so that's really fun. I'm doing that right now with a customer for some custom pens. Level Crossing Kid, hello. Thanks for hopping on. This is not my stream, this is his stream. I'm just.
Oh, they popped on before.
Oh, well, I'm Abby, John's wife. I'm talking blanks at the moment. Hello, MX. I don't have.
You say hello.
My friend. I know. Something
know
about
the other
products.
stuff
I think. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have my translate up right now. But yeah. So that's my plan. I'm going to keep doing that. There are blanks available in the shop. There are also pens from most of the blanks available shop. And after I do these, I'm kind of at like so we're 2 weeks out now from the DC pen show. So it's like, I think I'm kind of at the point where like I'll show the pens on Instagram or here of what we're finishing, but I probably won't list them because I want to bring them unless someone like really wants it right then. And then for some of those, I'll be like, yeah, sure. Especially with stuff like this, because we do have more blanks for these. But I think it's turned out really, really awesome. And yeah, I'm gonna get set up for that. Do you need to go in or get anything or do anything while I'm sitting here?
I already did.
You're good? I'm gonna give y'all back to John so that I can get up set up for sanding. And then I'll come back over and show these when they're done.
Dope.
That's probably all I'll have time for before like a drop in dinner time and stuff. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right, well, I guess I'll make a pen out of a block.
A block?
Square blanks.
Which one are you going to do?
I want to just show that it can be done and everything can still match up how it's supposed to.
Which square blanks are you going to use?
If you know what you're doing. Those sparkly ones over there.
Oh, the shimmery, like, just teal ones? No?
It's one of your pastel prism sparkle.
Are you talking about these ones right here? Yeah. Okie dokie. You, but okay.
What do you want?
Not that.
Pick some squares.
Okay, I have to go look for squares now. Here. Never mind. I don't know where these were. Where were these? Where are all your squares? You used to have them, like...
some are over here, somewhere in the second, third drawer.
Second, third drawer.
Second from on the bottom drawer.
Okay, hold on, let me put this down.
But that seems like it would be pretty cute. That way people with the wood lathe will see it being done with the wood lathe entirely.
But not, we don't want it. Second,
Yeah.
third drawer, there's none of
No, at the bottom. Bottom
From
parts.
the bottom?
No.
I actually like there's
Up.
nothing in there. These are all stratified.
Oh, up one more then.
Okay, so that's first. No, nothing in
All right, keep
there.
looking.
John!
Go. There's some.
Yeah, but none of those are mine.
Keep
You
looking.
could just Zuma in. Zuma.
There you are. There's a couple squares.
That will be better. These will be better.
There's some squares.
Again, not mine. What happened to all my squares?
You probably turned them
turn
around.
them all around? Like that.
Turn them round. You're welcome, I think. You said merci. You're welcome.
I don't even know where that box is.
Well, I was going to sand it and everything too. Ugh. Ugh. Sweet. Let's hop over here. I'll show a better view of these that we're going to be spending some time. So we're going to start with squares, and we're going to make a pen, just like we did pretty much, except this is basically to prove to you that it can be done from square. And if it doesn't actually work out, I'll just turn the video off. I'm just kidding. It'll work. Oh man, it's funny. Funny though. Whoop. Yeah, we're gonna be over here for a little bit. Yes, indeed. I'm gonna show you. We can make them just like this. So, if you're intimidated by square blanks, this should alleviate some of that, I would say. But yeah, we're gonna work on the wood lathe. Let me back up. We're gonna work on the wood lathe from start to finish. Sounds good to me. Anywho, for this we're gonna need a 4-jaw chuck. Or 2, it doesn't matter. I could take 2 of these off and still be fine for what I'm doing here. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take the rest of these edges off because I don't want them interfering. So just take the edges off. You could just take it to the sander probably and take care of that right quick. But as you can see, some resin is shavable. Not to mention you see me speed shaving it all the time. But with hand tools it can also be done. If I had maybe a carving setup, could carve some stuff. And basic safety when you're working with a knife. You don't want to be pushing it towards yourself and all that stuff. But you know, you're responsible for your own safety. So we're just getting this block to where it is not going to have different little pieces sticking out. Alright, that's probably about good. Let's do it again with this one here. And sometimes this happens if you fill a mold all the way up, you'll get a little bit of overage, which isn't a big deal. It's just something that, you know, you kind of got to factor into the whole thing and a little later on. There we go. But we did it, y'all. Did it! Made it to 1,000. Somebody already asked me, what's the next goal? I said 1,000,000. Million. But only if they're interested. Those are the types of people I want. Ones that are interested. Okay, good enough. Now, I'll go ahead and show you the measurements of this as well. That way you can see that it's not It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Because that's kind of the whole point of it, is that it doesn't need to be that perfect. If, again, if you know the specific things about it. Because there are exceptions to it.
Have you seen my wallet and everything?
No?
It wasn't here.
I didn't take your collet. I don't use that collet.
No, but you have your dad.
No. He has yet to use a collet. You want mine?
I need all of it.
Okay, you can have all of mine. Alright. Alright, here we go. So, first things first, we're going to get the cap and the section from one of the blocks, and then we'll get the barrel from another one. So, I need to go measure that right quick, and then cut them.
I don't have mandrels, I don't have my collet, I don't have anything.
Well, I don't know where it would have gone.
I had it right there.
Is it not in the box?
No, it's not in the box either.
Is it over there with that other stuff?
I'm gonna look, but yeah.
Well, it didn't make its way over here.
Said that before, but I found it there.
All right. Let's see. So, because we have a square, it makes it even easier for measuring the components that we need. So for a section, I'm going to go ahead and anticipate 1.5 inches. Or so. Right about there. A little over 1.5 inches. Because we do have plenty of material here that we're going to be probably chopping anyway. So we're at 1, then a little over. Yep, that'll be perfect. We'll go right there. And then the cap will be there. The other side. Boom. This is the cap. This is the section. And then about 4 inches of this will be the body. Whoop! I only had your cat mandrel.
That one. I'm missing both mandrels, both everything. Down the collet.
All right, those are at 4. This is there. This will be the body. Cool. All right, take a look at that for just a moment. Oh, this is going to get taken away. And then this is going to have other pieces that are going to get removed as well. But that's going to happen a little later. As far as that mandrel, here it is. What other one?
I don't have either of my mandrels. I have my section mandrel, but I don't have my cap or my body mandrel.
What did you do? What's that down there? That brass piece.
My section mandrel.
Oh. Well, dang, man. We ordered it.
Here. Well, we haven't gotten those yet, but.
Oh. Well, who is that?
Me.
That's on you. All right. Alrighty. So, for the sake of doing this all on the wood lathe, I'm going to go ahead and just chop it right here. All right. Just going to cram it in the cram hole here. And it doesn't need to be beautiful. It just needs to be enough. All right. So that is set. All I'm going to do is slide my tailstock up just to support. I don't have any pilot hole or anything like that into it. So just if you were wondering about that, I don't have that. This is essentially just to rough cut this part, which will be A-OK. All right, so for this, I'll use a parting tool, and we'll crank up the speed. Should have turned on Morty as well. Morty! Gabriel, hello! How are you doing? Welcome to Maverick Workshop, where I am making a pin on a wood lathe, and we're going to be making it from a square. Now, it's kind of one of those things where it doesn't actually need to happen, right? You don't actually need to do it this way, but this is more of an illustration of you can do it this way, and this is how. But ordinarily, I would just take this to the bandsaw and get that chopped up. Back this off, because I don't need it anymore. This piece is going to go bye-bye. Okay, we'll just continue with this part right here. I'm going to use a square carbide. Get the speed cranked up. Okay. I need to do I'm going to just spin this a little bit. All right, what is this looking like? Flat spot, round, chip out. All right, we're doing it. We're making a mess. Okay, now I got a nice little spot that is not going to be concerned for. Haha, perfect. All right, now we got it nice and flat. I'm going to use the corner of the tool here. Boom. Now, I need to switch this over. Actually, I should have done the section first. That's all right. We're going to go for that anyways. We're still going to do the section. All right, so this is the cap in the section piece. So we're going to leave the cap there, and I'm going to do the section this time. Or cut off the section and then make the cap. And then you just want to try to make it as centered as possible, like using these jaws as a reference point to try and put those kind of in the middle. Then you'll give it a nice cinch down. Again, we're going to support it. And then we have to be a little bit more accurate for this one here. But not like super accurate. We're going to go towards the section a bit here. Alright, perfect. There's the section. Boom. Okay, now we started the barrel, but we're gonna do the same thing we did for the barrel for the cap here. Okay, it doesn't need to be perfect. But we're gonna go ahead and make the base nice and perfect as possible. And then center punch. Whoop. All right. Sorry if I missed something in chat. I don't think I will, but maybe. Let's bring this over here. There we go. My bad. Now we're good though. Where? Never mind, there it is. Here's our tray. Here's our tray of toys that we need to be using here. For the cap, this one, this little guy, this little guy, this little guy. That's what we need. The other pieces are for other components. So for the drilling, we're going to turn it down to about probably between 7 and 900 or so is about where we want to be turning. My lathe did have a readout, but ever since I messed with the bearings, I think I may have smacked the heck out of the sensor, and it shows E6, which is just you know, a way to make fun of me, I guess, to mock me for my military shortcomings, we'll say. All right, so here we go. We're turning decently. We're gonna go ahead and start slowly advancing. Now we're sitting in there. How you doing, Gabe? Okay. Okay, good to go, good to go. So that is the space for the section part. Hey, that's dope. And then we'll do it again. This will create a recess for the tip nib of the section here. Ooh, it's bold. Nice and bold. That's nice. We just got a new stamp with our logo, with a different type of logo.
I didn't speak to the devil.
What?
Turner's Warehouse.
Oh, nice. We got a Turner's package as well. You should do an unboxing of your turning. Do a unboxing. All right. Okay. So just cutting just a little bit of a relief there, and then I'm going to also use a chamfering tool. If I there we go. Boom. All right, just a little touch. Knock off the corner, you know. Now it's nice and chamfered. Now for this. Oh, you're gonna do it on stream. You gonna do it on stream?
Look, Turner's Warehouse.
Do y'all want to do a break and then, or a quick pause, show what we got from Turner's Warehouse? What did we get from Turner's?
You got
Oh, nice.
Mercury.
They can't hear you. Here, I'll keep working.
It'll
and you
literally
can do
be
that.
just a minute. Okay, so I had to order a new mandrel from Turner's Warehouse for my caps, because obviously John's got a mandrel, and then I have a mandrel. His is for turning, mine's for sanding. Mine has changed shape since I've used it, or like the threads or whatever. I needed a new one. And luckily, because they only had one left at Turner's Warehouse, which we order all kinds of stuff through. They have an amazing selection of stuff. So while I was ordering the one mandrel, I was like, well, I also need, there's always stuff we also need. So I was almost out of glue. So I got Mercury adhesives. This is medium flex. This is my favorite. I go through a lot of it because I do a lot of CA finishes and stuff like that. And then this is the accelerator for it, which when used sparingly is fantastic, but you gotta be careful. And then here's the mandrel, which is the whole reason that I ordered. They're brass, right, John? This one is made at Beaufort, which is in the UK, and we've actually ordered directly from them as well for some of the stuff. This is an M13 by 0.8 mandrel. And then I got some eye candy pigment. Now, a lot of the times I buy directly through eye candy, but sometimes you gotta, well, these are all just restocks of ones that I've run out of. So my favorite yellow, which is Tampopo yellow. It's really pretty, like saturated yellow, and the like shine in it is really nice. And then my favorite blue, which is No-Con blue. It's really deep blue. And it almost ends up looking like blue velvet for whatever reason. And then I was out of a few of my ghost pigments. These are what I was talking about a little bit earlier with the black prismatic pearl, and I was talking about like the abalone. So this is what people use to get that effect. So I got ghost blue, which you can like, there you go. You can like barely see that it has like a blue interference look. And then this is the violet. And then I got gold. So those are my pigments. And those were all just ones that I've run out of and have reordered like over and over again. And then Turner's always sends fruit snacks. These ones are fruity snacks. Anyways, there's my very brief haul. And now I have a new mandrel to use. Yay. Here you go. You can have it back now.
Dope. All right, working on the section right now. So I just did a 9/32 drill. Now I'm going to be doing a 7mm drill. It's going to go all the way through. My section is a little longer than it needs to be, so I'm not worried about the back end blowing out. Word choice. Whatever. But we're going to go all the way through. Yoink. And then we're going to cut our tenon. And then this is a pretty slick way, if you ask me, of creating a tenon. So just a little bit, and then back it back out. Oh, what are you doing? Okay, now we're crank it up. She's showing some mandrels she got.
This is the old one.
Old busted, new hotness. You can show it over here. No? Well, she got new mandrels from Turner, so we go through a decent amount of them. Alright, so I'm just peeling this back a little bit at a time. So, nice and easy. Don't be in a hurry, man. You'll mess it up. time, know that you have a little extra on the other end if you happen to overdo it or not, or if you need to adjust something. But obviously, it's best to just get it right the first time. A little bit. Flatten that out. And try to match the level of everything. Square here. Alright, now it looks as if I have two different steps here, but let's see how they actually are. Okay, that's 9. Sorry, I need to hop over here so I can actually see. Okay, close. And that's too much. Okay. We'll split the diff.
So this is going to trim back a little bit, no problem.
Smooth this part out a bit. Trying to keep it nice and square. Boom. Okay, there is our section tenon. And before removing it, thread it. Because that'll be important later. If you haven't noticed yet, that it's a lot of thinking of the sequencing of what you're doing and then determining at what point is the best to do various things. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and get this set up to where I can just be able to mount it on the barrel in just a moment. And then I can finish that. All right, we'll go to the end, back it back off, using this die and die holder. Perfect. And yes, I actually have threaded with pliers before, and it wasn't the worst thing that ever happened. But it's not the most ideal thing either. So just, ideally, okay. Now at this point you could do your little bit of a relief on the back end here, or if you plan on going for the barrel, which is what we're doing. So this is fine to come out now. We've got drilled all the way through, we've got the other part. So now all we need to do is get the barrel back in there. And then I'll need to measure this. Alright, so we are going to use this side again. And I'll just face this part again. It's not a big deal. So, I didn't drill or anything. And that is the most important part for this in particular. I didn't drill it yet. So, if you drilled it, and then you try to remount it, you're never going to find that middle again. So you can actually see that this is a little wonky too, but it's not a problem. Check this out. All we're going to do is we're going to crank it up a bit more, and then get rid of this center start, because we don't want that center start. That was from where it was before. So we need to make sure that we get rid of it. There we go. Now it's gone. So I'll grab my keyless chuck again. And this is for a barrel. So we're going to get the barrel tools. And then we'll also need a section tool. There we go. And then the actual threads. Okay. There we go. This. All right. So these are the pieces that I'll need for the barrel. move the section stuff aside for now. Boom. So far, we drilled out the cap. We drilled out the majority of the section. We did working on the barrel right now. So, here we go. Yes. Okay, here we go. Okay, so there's that. The next thing is to create a little bit of a recess for our section, because we're not going to do it the other way. So I've got my shoulder, my kind of stair step up there, they call it. And then that just kind of opens up that little bit at the very beginning there. And then this also kind of knocks off the corner. Just a little touch here. Just to, again, knock off the corner so it's not a cutting hazard, potentially. And then we'll thread it. And actually, I'm just going to keep it on and see how far we can get. And no interferences, and away we go. Perfect. That's as far as we wanted to go. And then this will pull itself back out because it's awesome. Like that. Alright, from here, now I need to basically define the line that I need to, well, the depth, I guess, is what I need to check out here. And so I'm going to get started with this, and this will be my rough guide. If you don't know, a 1/2-inch plug cutter is 12.7 millimeter. And assuming that everything behaves how it's supposed to,
then it works nicely.
so right now I'm just doing a little bit of measuring to. I want to make sure that it's not doing that. Let's see how we're looking. Let's go ahead and measure that.
13.
All right. Need to take it down a bit more, so we're gonna speed it up a little bit. Speed up my a little bit sharper. Trying to make it nice and square. So that 90-degree right there is helping me achieve that. Now I need to measure it again. See. Also, when you think about sanding too, for fine-tuning purposes, you want to run it relatively slow. Mike is making stuff. Thanks, buddy. Rats. Thanks, buddy. You played a hand in that too, man. Thank you. Okay. That's pretty good. Now, this little piece here, and then I need the die for it. So, here we go. Uh-oh. Here we go. So here's the die and the die holder. So from here, thread it. And then those rotations that you get from that, you can determine how many you want. Let's see, right there. All right, so at this point, this just needs the ends touched a little bit and then planed out a little bit. All right, sweet. Okay, so far we're gruesome. Now, the other thing that I should have done before actually cutting the tenon is making this, or finishing this particular part. But that's all right. We'll do it now. And again, just knowing the sequences and knowing where you're pushing a limit is a part of it. You know, it's just you got to know where some limits are of certain things, and then determine what you're most comfortable with as far as doing things about it. So here is where this needs to come off, and I'm going to do a little bit of support for doing that. So I actually need to put the live center back in, because that's as far as I need to go, but I want to support it while I do it. Because as you know, or may not, this is the only part that's holding it together. And because I left the barrel in here, it's centered, right? So I'm not really worried about anything like that. So that'll probably be something that really challenges some of the things that you may have already knew or thought that you knew, or new rules that you might have thought differently about. So I need to trim that much off. Man, note to self, cut the section smaller. Good grief. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. But yeah, all I need to do is cut it to that line, and this part's gonna come off. This part right there. All right, cool. Almost there. Now I'm just gonna clean it up the rest of the way and part it. Woo-hoo. That almost got ugly. This didn't like that. But that's okay. We didn't ask if it liked it. We told it that's what needed to happen. All right. Whew. I think here's what you're doing. Okay, so this is pretty nice and smooth and flat. If not, it can also get refined a little later down the road when we get to the sanding portion, and it'll have a little bit more rigidity to its structure at that point. So that is almost where we want it to be. Now we got this little guy, and then this is the JOO number 6 tap. Make sure you keep an eye on the speed. Don't want to go in too fast. That. Now we need to just drill this little bit here. Whoop! Sorry, had a little buzz on the mic. All right. Okay, here we go. Boom, done. Forward, reverse, baby. Forward, reverse. And with something that is this small, no problem. Something like the cap, you're gonna have to manually do that probably. Anywho, this is the section now. So, yeah, here we go. Here's the section. Let's go ahead and get a nib in it, huh? See what it looks like. Alrighty. Now, all we gotta do is figure out how to make a square cap now. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, here we go. This is the section. Boom. Perfect. Okay. Now, if you are going to do this on this lathe, it might be something that you need to think about as far as like your centers being, dialed in here. So I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to take this and flip it around. Mine's the first. Your channel is the first you found that shows the whole process. Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. There's not many that do, actually. And it's probably for a myriad of reasons. Yeah. So, let's see. At this point, I can do one of two things. I can use my manuals, which is what we're going to do, and I'm just going to continue using the jaws. But the other thing that you could do is have your collet. But here we go. Let's see. We're turning pretty good, I think. It'll be like impossible to tell. Oh, not that side. So, if this is the center, right? The way that we're going to do this one too is we're going to go ahead and center start, get it dialed in, and then trim it down. So this is the point at where I'm going to make it not a square after I get a little punch in the butt. Punch in the butt? Who says punch in the butt? My bad. You know what I mean. Alright. I'm going to turn this down, speed down, nice, good. And then just a little poke, little whoop. That's it. Then you take your live center, bada bing, bada boom. We already got Morty on, so we're just going to continue like this. You may have noticed I have yet to measure, so I still need to measure. I haven't yet to do that. So. Hello, Manra. Oh, yeah. If you wanted, this is what we're looking at right now. Hey. There. Cat body. Almost looks like a photo op. Yeah, dude. That's definitely a photo op. But good luck trying to find somebody that'll show you how to do it like this, too. Because this really does kind of lower the barrier again, and some people are not content about that. We'll say. Anyway, fortunately this one's clear-ish. right? I can actually, okay, right here. This is the only spot I can see, but I can see my drill hole, and it goes to here, and then typically I will do another mark. So about there will do. And then once I get the cap measured, it's kind of a coincidence that this one's translucent the way it is, but I didn't even mark it. I was just going to bypass it. There we go. There's our mark. And what we'll need is to go ahead and define. Right? You should notice a trend at this point where the process hasn't really changed. It's just, you know, a little bit adaptive to some of the tools that I'm using instead. All right, there we go. There we go. Let's go get this baby cranked up higher. Jill, how you doing? Welcome to Maverick Workshop, where we turn things round. All right. My little tailstock was deciding to slide a bit. Not cool. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what that means. Oh, but baby, look at that. That is pretty. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to level this back out and then pretend like we couldn't see it. That way we can just go back from that point. So there's the cap. Let's see. For this one, I am going to go ahead and put a mark on it where it'll show me where this lines up how it's supposed to. So basically, I'm going to need to line this up with this line here in order to make sure that it goes back to where it's supposed to be. All right, so from here, I check the depth. Whoop. It's not 393 millimeters, but it doesn't matter. I use the physical aspect of the calipers here. And so here, and then I'll come up a little bit higher because we're going to make this Marauder or Guardian? Okay, well the squirrels aren't like super defined there. Okay. All right, Marauder it is. So this is my measurement. I need to get the barrel. So now I've got the barrel, put them together. Man, this pin's looking awesome. Oh man, I cracked myself up. All right, now I grab this slow square here, and then I will set that, and then get this mark here. Boom. Marauder is going to be flat-ended profile for me. When I make my pins, they pretty much either get a round or flat end, and that oh, nope, not lining up. Nope, still not lining up. Great example of triple start. Boom. We're going to go off of the reference marks that we know. And then I'm going to define this line. Set. Just clear it out a bit. Make sure you knock the corners off. That's what I do. I don't want to accidentally catch my knuckle on it or anything like that.
Alright, so
I'm going to get it down to where the bottom part of the cap is the size that we want it to be,
and then we'll work our way upward. So this is 15-ish. The diameter of my mantle.
easy. Don't run it off the end. Definitely don't want to run it off the end. You could like have too much pressure and then you're going to chip out that last little bit. So just be careful when you're doing that and know that that can happen. And in my case, it doesn't matter that much because I'm going to round them anyways, but it's just one of those things that it's best to not do it that way. Hello, how you doing? Let's see, Frank. Hello. I don't know your name, but hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, I'm going to use this opportunity to. This spot right here is higher. It's hard to tell, but this part over here is like, you know, nice, and then it kind of bulges out, and then it goes back to here, and then tapers the rest of the way down. So we want to address that little spot right there, and to do that, I'm going to turn the speed way down, and then I'm going to use a file. So a file is going to kind of flatten this taper a bit more, and then from the bottom side, I'm going to go. This bottom part right here is pretty much flat, so I'm going to use that as my guide to fix this middle part here. It's like I can feel the file kind of teetering on that point, and so that's where we want it to be. All right, that is looking
exquisite.
all right. Let's part that bad boy off. Boom. All right, that is good. I'm gonna back that off. All right, so this is done. This is done. The cap, I just need to sand and polish it now. And so at this point, not a big deal to remove it from the mandrel or the mandrel from the jaws either. So we're gonna end up doing both of those things. If I find the key, oh, it's hidden under my swath. Yeah. Okay, so looking sweet. Does it kind of make anybody think of like camouflage, but for not military use? Maybe just me, I guess. I don't know. All right, so there's that, and then the next thing we need to do is get this barrel prepped up, man. So we're going to repeat kind of what we did before. A little of this, a little barrel mandrel action. Did she take it? You take my barrel mandrel?
What?
Did you take my barrel mandrel? Oh, no, never mind. There it is. Found it. There we go. There we go. All right. Again, this is just going to go ahead and grab a hold of these jaws here. And so, ultimately, we're at the mercy of this side's zero. You know, how dialed it is. Or how dialed it is the best way to say it. And then you're going to use a little center poker, center start. Bada bing, bada boom. Get our square that we've been working on the whole time. There's nothing on the other end. So we're just going to go in, do a little poke. And then that'll be our support. Way down. The reason I have it as slow as I do is because I don't want it wobbling out of round when I go for the initial start. So that. Boom. All right. That is the mark that I need to basically define, right? Boom. So I'll get the tailstock pushed in, locked into place, and then I need to part it right there, or at least trim it down to where I know where the line is that I'm going to make the length of it be at. So you can see, or you might be able to see that I left a little bit of the Sharpie there. So I know where it was to begin with. And then I just use this to round it off a little bit and then bring it back. All right, so let's take another look at it with it off. This is my part that's going to get cut away. This is the line. This is the length of the barrel right here. So now, between here and here is the area that I have to play with as far as determining what shape profile I'm going to go for. So we got to get all this turned around first. address some things right quick. Morty gets choked up every once in a while. Morty's my dust collector. Gets a little choked up every once in a while after a little bit of turning. Alright, so all we're doing is we're just trying to level this out, and then we're going to start working on our actual size now, trimming it down the size that I want it to be. Moving just a little bit further and further every time. Getting there. And then if you remember from before, I have some visual references that I use and physical references that I use for dialing in the diameter. So again, we know that the mandrel is about 15 millimeter, and we're going to go for 14.5, so just slight under. And then we can use our square guide and basically trim it all down to about the size that we want. But we're going to take this one a little bit further. Alright, backside is not as important at this point, because I'm going to go back and refine it anyway. So, we are cruising right along. This one's a beauty. Do a little tapering at this point. And then we're going to get this knocked down a bit more. Good. Getting there, right? This is a part of why it's best to go ahead and trim down your blanks before, because it will make a big old mess. But you know what? The point is not that, it is to illustrate that you can do this as a square if you know what you're doing. Okay, so that is about good. Take this a little bit more. And then the middle right there is going to need a little love with some sand. Just like pass. What are you doing? Don't look at my feet. Alright, so you can see basically right here is where it's relatively flat, and then it kind of comes out and then it goes back down to a taper. So we want to alleviate this high part right there, make it flat and flush with ease down here.
That looks really cool. It's like watercolors.
Ooh, that's like water, earth colors, man. Hey, good job. Those look nice. That looks nice. Good job.
They look awesome.
Good job. Okay, I'm going to do the lighter side of the sand here. Again, when I use the file, it's turning pretty slow. It's not turning too fast. So just kind of bear that in mind. All right, now we're gonna get it cranked back up and get it parted. What? The tool rest is further than it should be, but I'm doing a little bit of turning right here. All right, so here we are with this. Whoa. All right, so I'll need to readdress the threads, but fits pretty good. Yeah, let's go ahead and hit those threads right quick. And you know what I mean, we gotta hit them. So again, the die that I used, I could just use that same one, but this one's set up to chase threads. So that's why I'm using this one. You just take the other one and then you make it a little tighter. So that's a way to go about doing it. Brian, what's up, man? We made it. We made it. We finally got it. So that's pretty darn exciting. There we go. This is better. Oh man, that looks cool. All right, we're gonna flip it around and then hit it again. Because towards the bottom there, I think that's what we're... come on, baby. There we go. Find it. We're cross-threaded. Come on now. Don't do that to me. There we go. All right. Woo! That's a good question. What do we do with the blanks that we don't like? Well, we're reluctant to put those types of blanks out into the world as we view it as a reflection of us. So what we do instead is I use those as practice pieces, and I also make mandrels out of them, stuff like that. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It's been a good journey so far. I have not had any no complaints. Not like anybody would listen to them anyway. Alrighty. All right, let's try this. This is going to be a little different. So I use just the threaded the tab that I used. Hopefully this will give me a little bit better of a grab. A little non-standard there. That's all right though. Okay, next is the section here. So for the section, what we're going to do is we're going to use one of those little scrap pieces of blank that Lawrence was just talking about. Going to get a little scrap blank, and then we're going to. Well, here's how you make a mandrel too. There.
Well, this is a 2 for now.
All we need is a blank. Need a blank, and you're going to want it to stick out a bit. Get this nice and tight. Boom.
So this is how you basically guarantee that it is centered
When you're turning on this type of jaws. If you don't know, these jaws can be relatively inaccurate if you're doing like precision type of work. But if you start with the build, in this case this, if you start with that in place, then you don't have to worry about it as much. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get this drill bit and then this. And then we're basically going to recreate a certain part, right? The barrel part of the pin. And we're turning away faster than we should be. You need to make one of those one day. Your drill press. Yeah. All right, move this over, move this over. And then we'll dial it back down. And we'll just run it a little bit. Reverse it. Oh, don't have the horsepower. Ugh. Kitless. Well, I know a guy that makes them pretty often. Just got to get out in the shop. Got to get out in the shop. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get a reference. Actually, so again, I'm going to actually do this. So this is again a plug cutter. And then we're just going to use it to give us a guide. Oop, I'm going the other way. All right, we did that because we need to be able to determine the overall size that we need to make the section.
And this is the way that we can do that.
All right, let's see what that size is. Oop. 13, okay, we are cool with that. We will dial it in as we go. Boom. And then you're going to want your tailstock support, or your live center and your tailstock for the support. Whew. Boom. Now we need to take this down to 12 millimeter. And 12 millimeter will be less than where that blue part is. So I'm just trimming down to the blue part. Go ahead and quickly get there. And then we'll slow down and then refine that little bit. Okay. So from here, we're probably looking at about 14 still for this part, and then 13 for this part. So we're going to need to take that down. So we went a little bit past it on purpose there. So we can just do a nice clean pass for doing that. My goodness. Get it together, you.
Okay, 1273.
Getting there. We're going to do another
Pass like that.
measure again. Because if we can get the back side dialed in, then
Oh yeah. There we go. Front side needs to go.
all right, we are good.
So I just need to trim these down.
And then set my calipers up for 12. So we're going to bump this open to 12. That's not 12. Open, says me. All right, good enough.
Okay, that's good. And then this part is also good.
Good. Now all we got to do is finish that little bit in the middle
For the grip part. So this is where you get to choose the grip profile that you're going to go for.
And for shorter sections, I like the hourglass. But for this,
It tends to be a little bit better for having a little bit of an elongated taper on the backside for the basic section of this.
boom. So this should all be less than 12, and it should fit into the pin. So let's take a peek at that. All right, there's the pin. And here's its section. Boom. Ah. I think I need to take it down a bit more, just a little bit. Let's do that right quick. Just the back side of it. So we'll get it nice and tight on there. We don't actually need to support it in this particular case.
Just going to take it and then kind of just do a little flat. Surface. That should have been good enough.
And it was indeed. Okay, we're good. All right, for the full effect here you go. Here's the actual nib. there we go. There it is. Pretty dang cool, if you ask me. But anyway, made these from squares. And if you know what you're doing, it won't matter. Part speed turn to get a triangular. It is a very small piece. So I don't know if you might be able to. I'm not sure. Sometimes I like to refine them a bit more. Because something feels a little off. But yeah, I suppose you could do that for a section piece, man. I don't know if I would recommend it, because it'd have to be really small and really flat too. Because you don't have a lot of room to get flat surfaces like that. But I suppose if you try it out, let me know. And my tap holder is too small for this one, so that's why I use pliers. In case you were wondering. Perfect. There, that fixed it.
Oh my god, it's so cool.
There you go.
Wow. That's so cool. Wow.
Man, I don't know if that's sarcasm or what. Golly. Sound like that. Well, I mean, it's been a good day, a real good day. So, yeah, just I guess what I'm gonna end up doing is wrapping all this up and then see if she'll get it sanded and maybe post some pictures of it later on the socials, you know. Let's see. Just curiously, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it will work or not. That's the reality. If I took, let's see. The hard part would be making sure that it was that diameter in the first place, but yeah, I suppose you could. All right, well, here is a section. And so if you wanted it to be the triangular sides, you'd probably need to at least start with the thicker section, like for a larger pen. So that would be the immediate thing that I would point out right there. But yeah, you definitely need to start with a little bit thicker of a piece and then also anticipate ending up with a section that is fit for a larger pen probably. But yeah, you can see that the walls here, if you try to make these surfaces triangular, you're going to end up with the rounded spot still, but you probably could. Let me get this one threaded and then we'll see. But yeah, I'm over here on my metal lathe just for a second. I just need to get this. I don't want to take that out because that is already dialed in. If I take that out, I'll have to basically remake another mandrel. So I'm just going to thread it over here. Oh, well, that didn't work. And this is what I was talking about with those gutters. If you do a gutter, what it can do is it can break it off because it made it so thin. And that's what happened here. It just broke. Unfortunately. So now it's got to get broken on the inside. Trying to break it. There we go. Boom. That might be a project for a different day then. But yeah, there's that. I guess the real answer is I don't know. I don't know. Probably, but you'd have to give a little bit in some areas to get a little in other areas. So, but yeah, man, what a fantastic day. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are so awesome. So many people were stopping by to hang out, say hi, and all that. I love it. So I very much appreciate when that happens, and it is always a good time to meet new faces and stuff like that. So I appreciate you if you are new here and you like the pin making content of sorts. I make pins all the time. I turn all the time, and I do spindle turning. Is what I would summarize it as. I do spindle turning and rarely make any bowls. Pins are my thing. And then yeah, I work on a metal lathe and a wood lathe, and I basically just talk about what it is that I'm doing and hope that that helps somebody else that's struggling in different areas of the whole pin making process. And yeah, it's kind of crazy that something seemingly so simple can be as complicated as it is. But, you know, that's kind of what I aim to do, is simplify that, and then you can delve deeper into whatever, if that is what you choose to do. But yes, we're over here, overview cam. We'll do a little outie right now. But yes.
What?
Wrapping it up. What are you doing?
Wrapping it up.
What? You're thinking of a more ergonomic prospect. Yeah, you know, you really could probably do it. You just have to file it. That's what I was going to do. I was basically going to lock it and then file it in that position and then rotate it and do it again. But yeah, that was what I was thinking, at least. But I don't know. That's just the first idea I had. Sorry. But yeah, I appreciate you all hanging out. Had a great time. Made some cool stuff. And I appreciate you being here. And I will see you next time.
Bye.
Have a good day.